If you look to future, what shall be the profile of the, let's say, chief executive in the year 2020? What skills do they need?
Well, I'm addressing this, I hope, on a pan-European basis. I mean, the problem with the UK, for example, people have become quite focused in many ways in the discipline within which they're engaged. Now, to me, if we look at 2020, 2025, the executive of the future has to understand all elements of the maritime environment. Because if they're going to run a major shipping line, or they're going to be involved in the global supply chain, or they're going to run a shipyard, or any aspects of R&D, they have to understand the role of all the other elements in the business. So I would like to see from the ground up the chief exec in the maritime having some exposure, not necessarily detailed, but to shipyard and ship construction practice. I'd like to see them understanding the issues of fuel and bunkers. I mean, the world is consuming $18 trillion of maritime fuel a year, for example, and that may become a much bigger issue when we come to the carbon footprint questions. I'd like to see them understanding the elements of ship chartering, general average, insurance. I'd like to see them understanding all the cargo flows, ship construction. I'd like to see them doing 3 or 4 months at sea to understand the issues of weather, which is critical for us. I'd like to understand the view of manning ships and how that's fundamentally important to future economics in the maritime sector. I'd like to understand hazardous goods and all that goes with that. So I'd like to see them operating a little time in a port, to see stevedoring cranes, to see how ships are loaded, to see how container stacks are prepared, to see how bulk cargoes are loaded. I'd like to see them getting an exposure in the port sector, the shipping sector by way of ships, and of course the freight sector. And I think, and in fact, intermodal transport would be another of that. They must understand the connectivity of intermodal transport. So all these from the ground up, to me, are absolutely fundamental. They should have a flavour of these, if not a detailed understanding. That, I think, is where I'm coming from.